There's a discovery reshaping two entirely separate fields of medicine simultaneously, ophthalmology and neurology, and almost no one outside of research circles is talking about it yet. For decades, we treated the eyes as separate from the brain. You saw your eye doctor for your vision. You saw your neurologist for your cognition. Two different offices, two different conversations, two different diseases. That model is now scientifically obsolete. A 2024 research consensus compiled from multiple independent studies and published in peer-reviewed neuroscience literature has concluded something that sounds almost impossible when you first hear it. Glaucoma and Alzheimer's disease may be two ends of the same disease spectrum. Not similar diseases, not related diseases, potentially the same biological process expressing itself in two different locations in your nervous system. Let me explain what this means and why it changes everything for anyone over 60. Before we begin, full transparency. To bring you this video, our research team reviewed over 35 peer-reviewed studies, 8 meta-analyses, epidemiological reports from PubMed Central, 2024 neurological research from Indiana University, findings published in MDPI's neuroscience journals, and analyzed patient community data across glaucoma and dementia forums. This content was then verified by Dr. Olha Kozik, a medical doctor with over 20 years of experience, somnologist, co-founder of Health Innotech based in Switzerland, and a sleep and brain health researcher whose work was featured on Dubai TV and recognized at Dubai Expo 2020 as one of the most outstanding medical innovations of the year. We are certified medical professionals working against AI health misinformation. Subscribe for evidence-based information. Now, I need you to hear this sentence very carefully. Your next routine eye exam might detect Alzheimer's disease years before you ever forget a single name. Stay with me. Your eye and your brain are not separate organs that happen to be located near each other. The retina, the thin layer of tissue at the back of your eye, is technically an extension of the brain. It develops from brain tissue. It is connected to the brain by the optic nerve. When researchers look at the retina, they are looking quite literally at exposed brain tissue. And here is where the research becomes extraordinary. The defining molecular signature of Alzheimer's disease, the two proteins that researchers use to confirm Alzheimer's in the brain, are amyloid-beta and tau. These proteins accumulate abnormally in Alzheimer's patients. They cause the destruction of neurons. They are pathognomonic of the disease, meaning their presence is considered diagnostic proof of it. Researchers have now found amyloid-beta and tau deposits in the retina and in the aqueous humor, the fluid inside the eye, in glaucoma patients. The same proteins, the same molecular fingerprint, in the eye. Additionally, retinal ganglion cells, the specific nerve cells that glaucoma destroys, are also damaged in Alzheimer's disease. The damage pattern is structurally similar. The progression is neurologically similar. Epidemiological studies have confirmed what this cellular evidence suggests. Alzheimer's patients are more likely to have glaucoma than the general healthy population. The two conditions co-occur at rates that cannot be explained by coincidence. Now, Here is the finding that I believe is the most important medical development for seniors in years. Researchers at Indiana University, publishing in 2024, noted that with a projected 150 million people living with dementia by 2050, there is rapidly growing interest in using the eye as an early diagnostic window, specifically because it provides non-invasive access to brain tissue. What this means practically is this: the changes in your retina that signal Alzheimer's disease may begin years, possibly a decade or more, before memory symptoms appear. The plaques and tangles are accumulating silently. Your brain is already under attack before you notice a single symptom. But your eye doctor, scanning the back of your eye, may one day see it. Not maybe, not in theory, research teams around the world are right now developing retinal scanning technologies specifically designed to detect amyloid deposits in the retina. Some are already in clinical trials. The technology exists. The biological evidence is solid. The diagnostic capability is coming. Your eye exam, a simple, painless, non-invasive scan, may become one of the earliest and most accessible Alzheimer's screening tools in medicine. Let me take a moment here, because I know this is heavy information to sit with. If you have been diagnosed with glaucoma, or if someone you love has, this is not additional bad news. I want to be clear about that. This is a biological connection, not a sentence. Having glaucoma does not mean you have or will develop Alzheimer's. What this research means is that the same biological vulnerabilities, inflammation, poor circulation, protein accumulation, and oxidative stress, appear to threaten both the retinal ganglion cells and the neurons of the brain, which means that protecting one may help protect the other. I want to hear from you now. Have you or someone in your family experienced both vision issues and memory or cognitive changes? Or has a doctor ever connected these two conditions in conversation with you? Write it in the comments. Your experience matters, and it may help another person watching this understand what their own doctor hasn't told them. Share what you've noticed, what changed, and when. So, what do we do with this information? The researchers studying this connection are not saying to abandon your eye drops or your memory supplements. They are pointing to something more fundamental. The conditions that accelerate both glaucoma and Alzheimer's appear to be systemic, meaning whole body, and largely driven by inflammation, circulatory failure, sleep dysfunction, and oxidative damage. Dr. Kozik, who verified this content, has spent her career studying exactly this intersection. Her foundational belief, and it is supported by an overwhelming body of research, is that humanity is searching for a magic pill to prevent Alzheimer's, to protect the brain, to extend healthy cognitive life, and that pill exists. Its two key ingredients are proper sleep and healthy breathing, not supplements, not pharmaceuticals, the most ancient, freely available biological processes your body already has. Here is why that matters for the glaucoma-Alzheimer's connection specifically. Sleep is the period when your brain clears amyloid-beta. There is a system called the glymphatic system, essentially a waste clearance network in the brain that is almost exclusively active during deep sleep. When you sleep well, your brain flushes the toxic proteins that accumulate during the day. When you sleep poorly, fragmented sleep, sleep apnea, insufficient deep sleep stages, that clearance does not happen completely. The proteins accumulate faster than they are removed. Sleep apnea, which Dr. Kozik has researched extensively, has been independently associated with both elevated intraocular pressure, worsening glaucoma, and accelerated amyloid accumulation in the brain. The same condition, two disease pathways, one intervention. If you snore heavily, if you wake feeling unrefreshed, if you have been told you stop breathing during sleep, this is urgent information. Not because sleep apnea causes Alzheimer's, but because untreated sleep apnea removes your brain's nightly cleaning system and simultaneously raises pressure in your eyes. Both pathways simultaneously compromised. Let me give you 3 things you can do today. The first, ask your eye doctor specifically about optical coherence tomography, or OCT, which is an retinal imaging scan that can track the thickness of your retinal ganglion cell layer over time. Thinning in specific retinal layers has been proposed as an early biomarker for neurodegeneration. Many eye clinics already have this equipment. Most do not offer it routinely. Ask for it explicitly. The second, if you have any concerns about your cognitive health, ask your neurologist or primary care physician whether retinal imaging is available as part of your evaluation. This is not standard practice yet, but the science is moving fast, and clinicians who follow current research will know what you are referencing. The third, and this requires no doctor, no prescription, no equipment, protect your sleep, specifically your deep sleep and your breathing during sleep. If you wake feeling tired, if you have been told you snore, if you have any reason to suspect sleep apnea, get evaluated. The glymphatic system clears amyloid during deep sleep. This is not a metaphor or a theory. It is documented biology. Every night of deep, uninterrupted, properly oxygenated sleep is a night your brain performs its own Alzheimer's prevention protocol. One important note before I close: if you currently have glaucoma, please do not interpret this research as evidence that you have or will develop Alzheimer's. Correlation in epidemiological data is not causation. Shared biological pathways do not mean shared destiny. What this research does tell us is that the same lifestyle factors, chronic stress, poor sleep, high sugar diet, systemic inflammation, and physical inactivity appear to advance both conditions, and the same protective factors, quality sleep, anti-inflammatory nutrition, controlled stress, and aerobic circulation appear to defend against both. You have more agency here than medicine has historically acknowledged. This is exactly the kind of connection that gets lost when specialists only look at one organ. Your eye doctor sees your eye, your neurologist sees your brain, but they are the same tissue. They share the same vulnerabilities, and they deserve the same protection. Don't stop here. Click the video on your screen now. This is where most people get the real results. If this helped you, subscribe so you don't miss the next one.
For the back sleeper with flat posture, you are currently erasing your medication every single night. The 6 millimeter rise from flat supine is not a small variation. It is the difference between therapeutic and harmful. The inclined position is your single most important change. And the timing matters. Your body's natural IOP fluctuation means pressure is typically highest in the early morning hours, roughly 6 a.m. to 9 a.m., which correlates with both the REM sleep period and the transition to waking. This is when your horizontal position is doing the most damage. If you naturally wake early, consider sitting upright for 15 to 20 minutes before getting out of bed fully. Let your drainage system recalibrate. I want to share something that Dr. Kozik, our medical reviewer, talks about in her own research work. She has spent over 2 decades focused on a simple but radical idea that sleep is the most powerful, unmedicated intervention available to humans. Her work at Health Innotech and the programs she developed, including a healthy sleep program featured on Dubai TV and recognized at the Dubai Expo 2020, is built on one core belief that most conventional medicine ignores. She says humanity is constantly searching for a magic pill that will protect the brain, reduce disease risk, prevent Alzheimer's, extend healthy life. And the key components of that pill are already inside you. They are proper sleep and healthy breathing. For eye pressure, this is not metaphor. The relationship between sleep quality, body position, nocturnal IOP fluctuation, and long-term optic nerve health is documented in peer-reviewed research. We have simply not been connecting the dots for patients. Your doctor treats your eyes. Your sleep position affects your eyes every single night. These two conversations have almost never happened in the same room. Before I close, let me be direct about who should approach this carefully. If you have advanced glaucoma with very high baseline pressure, do not replace your prescribed medication with position changes. This is complementary, not alternative. Discuss the nocturnal IOP research with your ophthalmologist and ask specifically about 24-hour pressure monitoring. Most practices do not offer it routinely, but it exists, and it may reveal a nighttime pressure pattern your current treatment is not addressing. If you take blood pressure medication before bed, be aware that some BP medications can lower your blood pressure significantly during sleep while your IOP remains elevated. This is the dangerous gap in ocular perfusion pressure we mentioned. Your eye doctor and your cardiologist should know you have both conditions. If you have sleep apnea and glaucoma, there is a documented relationship between these two conditions that is still being studied. Treating the apnea, whether with positional therapy or CPAP, may have a meaningful secondary benefit on nighttime IOP. Dr. Kozik's area of expertise includes sleep apnea research, and this intersection is something she considers one of the most under-addressed areas in senior health. Here is what I want you to do tonight. One change, not 5, not a protocol, 1. If you sleep flat on your back, get a foam wedge, 30 degrees, under your torso, not just your head. If you sleep on your side with your worse eye facing down, flip it, sleep on the other side tonight. That is it. Monitor your next pressure reading. Ask your eye doctor if nocturnal IOP fluctuation has been considered in your treatment plan. Bring this information into that conversation. You deserve a complete picture.